Welcome to Chat on Demand. This is the Keeping It Real podcast, a presentation of Hardy Media. This is episode 5. My name is Chad Hardy. I am your host. Today is Tuesday, April 7th. Thank you for being here. This is now our 5th time of being able to spend some time together. The news hasn't gotten any better, and if you're like me, you're sick of it. You might be like me and starting to go a little stir crazy, if that's a good word for it. You might be like me and are missing family members, and like me, spending lots of time trying to touch base with those that maybe you haven't talked to in a long time. Your sleeping's off. You're eating a lot. And like me, maybe just waiting for someone to say, this is going to be over soon, and we're all going to go back to work on this date. Instead, we see endless news stories and political maneuvering. We see death tolls mounting. We see glimpses of hope. We see creativity in social media posts and new apps. We see humor and music, which is always something that allows us to escape and brings emotion that we long for these days. I've been talking to so many of you and soaking in and absorbing your feedback as to where this podcast goes and how it evolves. I had usually updated you on numbers and statistics at this point. Not anymore. You know where to get that information. You see, all podcasts evolve into something the host or producers did not or cannot predict. That's according to all the podcast experts. Well, the name here says it all. The goal is to keep it real. Let's do that. I need your help. Like I said in previous episodes, this is a WeCast, not a podcast. Without your input and without your feedback, well then hell, I'm just talking into a microphone and throwing something against a wall. I want this to be a community, a source of valuable and credible information, a source where your stories can be told without inhibition. So no scripts, no stats, just real people. Real stories, real feelings, keeping it real. So many people have been agonizing over the welfare of their children these past week. Doesn't matter if they're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. I'll be 50 soon. And my mom, well, is always worried about me and my brother and my sister. This week we've talked for longer than usual, as you probably have too with your loved ones. If not, do it tonight. So tonight I want to check in with my son, see what's going on in his head, see what he's got to say, see how he's feeling. Like his dad, he's got a gift of gab, and he's got no problem in keeping it real. And our kids and their thoughts is on everyone's mind. So we'll talk with Killian coming up. But first, I got an email from an old friend of mine, an old friend whom I haven't heard from in quite some time. She owns a small bakery and restaurant in Wyoming. We've known each other since the 4th or 5th grade. Our mothers became incredibly good friends. They still are. She sent me this email, and let me preface this by saying this is a person who would never ever want to hurt someone, nor ask anyone for anything. Instead, she's the kind of person that would feed you without knowing your name. The kind of person that when you picture in your mind a hardworking small Wyoming town business owner serving the coffee and cooking the food, and whose kids help out at the tiny restaurant that they own in Torrington, Wyoming. Sweet Lou's Bakery and Cafe. Now, Torrington, Wyoming has a population of approximately 7,000 people. They're located about 45 miles northeast of Cheyenne, just right there just about on the Nebraska state line. Now I'm going to read her email verbatim. It came on the Hardy Media website. It says, so small town restaurants, little mom and pop places like mine are dead as well. What's next for us? For example, I live in Torrington and I called the city to ask for help. I asked if they would discontinue my garbage bill for the next 2 months, as it's $210 a month per restaurant owner, and they told me no, that they still had employees to pay and bills to pay, and they couldn't risk losing their employees. After about 4 emails, the mayor stopped exchanging words with me. told me to just deal with it. And if I wanted my services canceled, I'd have to close down permanently, she writes. At first, I was like, oh, man. I was angry. And then I talked to her. She wasn't. She just thought maybe there was a solution that wasn't being looked at. And instead, a friend's recommendation was take it public. Then I called her. And this is how that conversation went. So you've exchanged emails. You've called the mayor's office. They won't discontinue the service. They won't even budge a little bit and let you guys share, from what I understand.
Right. I've not called. It's just been exchanged through emails. But yes, the only thing that they were willing to do is maybe waive a late fee. They did postpone one bill for like an extra week, but if you didn't have it paid by April 5th, then you were still penalized. But for the most part, no. They said in order to discontinue it, you would have to cancel your services altogether, which is also connected with the utility, the electric.
Okay, now you're just doing curbside right now, correct?
Curbside deliveries, and at this point, I'm not real sure on what it's all stating, but they can come in and pick up and take back out, but no dine-in or sit-downs or anything like that.
Let me ask you this. Are the garbage cans getting full?
No.
Have you tried to contact the landfill?
I did. I called the head of the landfill out there first, and he told me no, that wasn't an option. They still had a landfill to run and bills to pay, and told me if I wanted to take it further to get a hold of the mayor. And so that was my second step with emails to the mayor.
Now, are they picking up the garbage and just emptying the half-empty garbage cans all around all the businesses? I'm assuming it's all the businesses that are closed around you too, correct?
Yes. I mean, as far as I know, all I see is my two alleys every morning. And yes, every morning they are there emptying dumpsters. Some of us are 6 days a week. Some of us are 3 days a week. Restaurant owners typically have to be dumped 6 days a week due to all the food and everything put in the dumpsters. But at this point, there's probably 5 of us maybe down the two alleys that don't have much garbage at all because we're a restaurant or a bar.
And he was unwilling to let you guys share in the dumpster cost, I guess.
Correct. I in the first email I sent him, I said, is there any way maybe we could just share a dumpster with a neighboring or alley restaurant owner? And he said no. If we wanted to discontinue services, then we would just have to cancel our electric and everything altogether.
So your electric and your garbage pickup is in the same bill?
Correct.
How is business for you guys right now?
Business is pretty much at a standstill. You know, we might, on average right now, I'm getting maybe 5-6 orders a day.
And on a typical day, on an average day, what would you get?
Typical day, I probably have well over $100 in coffee drinkers a day that come in and sit down. Breakfast orders, lunch, to-go orders. And right now there's no coffee drinkers and a handful of lunch people. That's about it.
How long have you been in business in Torrington?
I'll be in business 8 years on September 27th.
And no assistance from the city or even the county at this point on just even delaying the garbage bill for a month?
No, nothing.
As a small business and restaurant owner, how long do you think you can sustain to stay in business as things stand now?
I am not sure. I know the one bigger restaurant that's been here for years made the decision to close down last week. I've talked to one other bar and grill here in town on Saturday night, and he said business is pretty much dead. Of them are the only two I know of for sure. There's a few Mexican restaurants. The drive-ups are staying decently busy, but anything else is pretty much probably cut 90%, I would guess. At least that's my experience with mine.
Have you had to lay off any employees?
I did. I had one part-time waitress, and I did have to let her go for the time being. And then myself and, usually just my kids pitched in here and there if I needed the extra help.
Well, Tauna, we're going to reach out to the mayor and see if we can get some kind of response. But you would think, just logically, being that the restaurants are closed down, there's got to be some kind of solution for you guys to either share in garbage pickup for just the time being, delay it for a month, or some kind of option here to say we're not going to do anything is really not what I'm hearing the governor of Wyoming speaking, is that we're all in this together, the Wyoming way. So we'll try and reach out to the mayor. I appreciate you calling in. We wish you the best of luck. We know it's got to be tough times for all restaurant owners, and it was good to hear from you again.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good to hear from you, too.
You know, after hearing that, I'll be honest, I was a little pissed off. You might be too. How the hell is this going on? So when I called the mayor's office this morning, I was wanting some answers. I was expecting some pushback. But instead, I found a mayor who is doing his best, and I believe will do his best. Well, I find it a little disturbing of the lack of attentiveness to the situation. I realized one thing that we've all been telling one another. We're all in this together. And this is how my conversation went with Mayor Randy Adams of Torrington, Wyoming.
Yeah, she did reach out to us, and yes, we looked into it in all kinds of different ways. We thought about seeing if we could do it through the garbage truck drivers, but managing that would just be ridiculous, and so that was, we did away with that. We talked about manage it internally with our billing and so on. Again, that was a nightmare because, first of all, if you do it for one, there's going to be 40 other businesses or 100 other businesses or whatever that want to do the same thing, and it would just turn into a nightmare. Also, she said there's no reason that she should have to pay anything for her garbage because she barely uses it. Well, barely is enough, and it doesn't matter if it's barely or if it's a whole bunch. It's a public health issue. We have to dump the dumpsters. We can't go up and down the alley and selectively pick one out that we don't dump, because if somebody inadvertently puts something in there, they have to be dumped. That's just the way it is. Yes, we understand there's a problem. It's a problem for everybody. Every entity in the city, including the city of Torrington, is struggling with how to deal with all these problems. And we tried to come to some arrangement that would work for her, but because mainly of the public health issue, those dumpsters have to be dumped every day. That's just the way it is. We cannot allow stuff that be put in there and then allowed to sit for a long time and without being dumped. We just can't do that.
Is there any way we can reduce the number of days? Can we share with the people down the street because they're not filling theirs up either? And $200 right now is really a lot of money for a lot of people.
Sure it is. It's a lot of money. Businesses are dumped every day. Residents are dumped once a week. Every day, those trucks have to be fueled with diesel fuel. Every day, a driver has to sit in them and prepare it and get ready. And every day, you have to drive up and down the alley. You have to dump every dumpster. And regardless of how much is in there, those things have to happen. 200 is a lot. I agree. It's more than anybody wants to pay during these times of restricted usage. But that's what we're stuck with at this time. And we're still looking into it. There's still things we're going to try to do through the billing part of it. But we're never going to go away from, in a business, we have to dump those dumpsters because it's a public health issue.
Now, what about them asking if they could, share with their
share with another dumpster? In other words, leave their dumpster unused?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
We can't. We got to dump every dumpster. We have to. Public health. Difficult situation. There's no doubt about it. And she's not the only one who complains. Everybody's got their own individual problem that they think that they should be singled out, especially because they have an individual problem. Everybody has problems during this period of time. It's just difficult.
Correct.
Well, we're trying to work through them.
Now, the restaurants, just off the cuff, the restaurants there, they are ordered closed, only curbside by the governor, correct?
they are ordered to have their dining room closed. Otherwise, they can do delivery, they can do